Hey, folks. Good morning. John Duffin here with Duffin Media and Duffin Coaching. Welcome back to another episode of Your Monday Motivation, where I get the privilege with the superstar lender and superstar coach, Chad Levine, and we get the chance to kickstart your week. So welcome back, folks. Chad, welcome back, bud. How you doing?
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Right? Exactly, man.
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks of summer that we've got, it's like this great combination of like it's Monday Opportunity Day, and also the opportunity to realize that at least if you're living in the northeast part of the country, we've had some great stretch of not just weather, but the invitation to get to do some fun things. And so anyway, it's really good to be back here, and I'm excited for today too.
Yeah, man. It's always good to start the week this way.
Exactly. And my buddy Chad had put up a post on social media, which I saw and I loved, and hopefully we will be able to lean into that. And it's one of these things where it's like, it's so easy in terms of like, as you call it, like dog days of summer and stuff like that, to just let go. And look, if for those of you watching live and on the replay, if that's what you're choosing to do, great. Go all out with that. Rando thought, go all out with that too. But if you are the type, and I've chosen to be this type this year specifically, which is I want to keep my foot on the gas all the way through. So we've talked about it on prior shows, the sense that the two of us are like, look, we get to springboard the month of August. Whether if you've seen the thing with the cards that Chad has drawn, or the quotes that we've done, or the momentum that we are looking to sustain as we leap into September. I'm a huge summer guy, and I got the chance to be at the beach yesterday, and honest to God, it's like one of my favorite things in the world to do in Ocean City, and it was killer. Everything about it was killer, beautiful. But what I will also say is it helps me to think, and it helped me to get recharged for today as well too. So that's where for myself, it's like, I don't want to 2 weeks from now feel ice cold in terms of, okay, what am I going to do for September, the fall, that, you know what I mean, the remainder of the year. I don't want that feeling, which is why over the last few weeks, it's like I've taken on more. Chad, my co-host, and I have taken on more rather than less in regards to getting to a point where it doesn't feel difficult and weird. And when we're like at Labor Day Tuesday, and it's like, okay, back to school. Now what? And so that's what, like, where all of this is. I referenced my buddy's quote, and fact of the matter is I looked for a quote today as well that I felt could lean into that sort of idea. So as everyone knows, what we get to do here is we get to throw some information on the table, some practical steps. And one of the first things that I get to do today is drop a quote. And I'm happy to do that right now if we're ready to go. Check that out. Oh my God, like precision timing, right? So it's going to look like some big fluffy thing, and I'll explain in a moment why I thought of this, which is, it's called Life is a Great Big Canvas, and you should throw all the paint on it that you can, from some legendary entertainer that I don't think my co-host is old enough to realize who that is.
I was actually going to ask you that.
Right. So if you are of a certain age, he was an old school legendary entertainer, singer, dancer, movie star, and all that sort of thing. One of those old school Hollywood types, right? And there's a positive element to this, but I also saw it as a practical element too, in terms of what we get to do. So if you want to throw the timer on me, I would happily do that. Oh, Chad Levine. Okay, we keeping you on or off camera?
Off. I like it when it's just you, man.
Okay, that's great. Well, in the meantime, I don't want to talk through the intro. Here's what I was thinking as well. Like, look, I've been in places in my life where I've had a million different scattered thoughts and ideas. And I remember, like, when I saw this quote, I remember thinking, okay, this could be problematic because throwing all the paint and just throwing yourself at things, that has been sometimes challenging for me. The shiny object theory of chasing after every single thing. I'm not interpreting this quote or these action steps in that way at all. Here's what I'm thinking in terms of why I thought of this, why I love this sense of full on, full out, 100% all in, right? And so one of the things that has been really important to me is to zero in on what I do, why I do it, and where I want to go with it. And I was on the beach yesterday, so this is going to sound so hippy dippy, but being on that beach yesterday and we were watching these guys, it's not hang gliding, it's not kite surfing. It is kite surfing. It was so complicated looking. And if you looked at them lugging a surfboard with a kite and all, it was like, you couldn't imagine that there would be a case where I would have quit a million times before they did. But meanwhile, they're flying through the air and surfing. I bring this up simply because I've got a few specific things I'm going to take on in the fall. And my thought is, rather than go halfway or, dipping a toe in, the intention is all in. So for those 2 or 3 things that you intend to do that matter most to you, my thought is literally throw yourself at it. Throw everything at it, every color. Hell, go surfing. So that was the 2 minutes, brother.
Okay.
All in with precision would be the best way I could sum it up. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm reading your quote. Life is a great big canvas. You should throw all the paint in it you can.
Yes.
Right? And then I'm listening to precision.
Yeah. So, meaning don't be scattered with it. I love that. I love that you caught that.
Yeah.
It's as I said, I have made the mistake in my life of that sort of shiny object, just chasing after every single thing.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at here is finding the things that matter to you and throwing all the paint at those.
Finding the things that matter to you
and throwing all the paint at that.
Got it. Okay. So is it more or less a going all in sort of thing?
100%.
Okay. So, okay. No, I'm getting where your head's at with all of it. That's all. Yeah. That's all. I'm thinking like, and this is just me for this week. I feel like you and I always go with where we're at the moment, from a mental standpoint. Yeah. And for me, it's making sure that you're fighting against anything negative and allowing yourself to be open-minded, right? And that kind of falls in line, I think, with where your head's at with this quote.
Yeah.
But I think that our biggest issue, both of us, is our lack of ability to either focus on one thing specific or when we find that thing specific to go all in on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's kind of where I'm looking at my life and I look at things and I'm always trying to analyze, right? I always try and do that. And I hope that everyone out there does too, because there's no such thing as, or I shouldn't say there's no wrong thing of being either dissatisfied or discontent or trying to figure out if you're happy with where you are, right? And my biggest thing is, John, and people don't say this enough. I think it's okay to be not okay with your chosen profession or path. I really do. I almost think that's like a conversation starter that some people need to have, because I think about the mental anguish people go through because they feel like they're pretty much stuck.
Yeah.
And that's really common, man. Like, it's more common than you realize, because let's say you choose something and you go down that path and maybe the business changed and it's no longer going to give you what you want financially. You don't have the upward mobility you thought you had. You don't think it's going to be as satisfying. Maybe you just don't like doing it. Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with you wanting to pivot or change. I just think that the decision to do so becomes more difficult as responsibilities add onto your plate.
Oh,
right?
and as time and age go on as well too.
100%.
1,000%.
And it just gets harder because, how long can you go without putting into retirement? How long can you go without this or without that? How long, you have kids and the clock starts the day they're born because college is coming, like all those other things. So I'm saying all this, not just as like standing on a platform. I'm saying this because I personally go through it. Go through it. And I want everyone to know that it's okay to want to change your path. It's okay to want to make a pivot. But I would say having someone walk you through it, to be there by your side, to look at all the different possibilities before you make that decision is extremely valuable, because I'll be honest with you, John, that's the hardest part, man. The hardest part is having someone to talk to outside of yourself to rationalize through it. And sometimes your partner, your spouse, your significant other, they're emotionally involved. So it's harder for them to clearly go through it all, right? For them, it's like, just, well, I don't like my job either, and I'm doing it. And this is where, and I'm bringing all this up because to me, it's a mindset thing, right? When you wake up every day, if you're not of the mindset that something good can happen, that something positive can happen, that something monumental can happen today, and you don't start that day like that, I think you're starting off the day not good.
Well, right. It's certainly not being set up for success.
Yeah.
Because some people I've done it. I'll speak for me, not some people.
Yeah.
I'll speak for them, which is this sense of that I just need to get through. Tough it out. And maybe you don't. I saw a social video yesterday, and it was Ed Milet was speaking, right? And he was talking about somebody sitting on a plane next to him. And the guy says to him that it's like, oh my God, this must have been, divine intervention or whatever, like some sort of kismet, that you're sitting here with me. And he explained why, which was like, I think he's 58 years old. And the dude was 58 years old. And he had just lost his job in the corporate setting that like 2 days prior. On that Friday was his last day, and he's 58, and he had gone all in terms of a certain thing, and then it ended, and then it was like, now what? And all of that fear and resignation and anger and all that sort of thing. And so he was in a forced pivot situation, as you were saying. And that was kind of like just the conversation, that you want to be in a position where you're pivoting at least a little ahead of the curve. I mean, sometimes you just don't know. My career didn't end. I'm going to change my own words. The last job I had in corporate ended. I had a strong sense it was going to. I was resigned to think this is what I wanted to do. But I'll tell you, when it occurred, it was one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had in my life, because it had never happened to me. And well, at that stage, I was well into my 50s. You know what I mean? And I was going to say, I was a little older than the dude I was just talking about. And it was like, it's jarring. So I pivoted for two reasons. For me, and went all in because, number one, out of need, I wasn't in a position to retire. And number two, that it was also the sense that I felt still unfulfilled. It was like, I haven't done or said everything that I want to do and say. And I felt like, well, I needed the forum, the platform, and so, that sort of thing. And so the opportunity was there. And so for me, when I talk about the sense of throwing all the paint at it, which is, I have caught myself in these last 4 years where the business has started, stalled, evolved, grown, escalated, all of them, depending on the day, right? Where it's been a case where it's like, I catch myself and I don't want to be the person that's all in. I still want to tread lightly. And that's why for myself, that reminder is it is a sense of urgency. But I loved when you put up the Facebook post today about that sense of opportunity. What if today is the day? Like what if it is? And I often feel like those things meet opportunity. They're not as random. It's not like hitting the lottery. So there's a lot of steps that I've done, and I'm just going to speak for me because I just know the most about this, the process with me, which is there's a hell of a lot of steps I've done, including recalibrate, that has put me in positions where I can be able to take advantage of an opportunity and just say, yeah, sure. And
you know what, John, it'd be an interesting topic for us to talk about why people don't go all in and help them get to that point. Right? Because the reality is, and we both know this, you aren't going to get the results you want until you're there.
You won't.
Right.
You won't.
And the reality is most people don't get there.
No,
most people don't. And I'm going to tell everyone the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not there yet. But I started saying to myself 3 things, right? That I'm going to start to repeat. I can, I will, I did. Right. And believe it or not, those are 3 really powerful things. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to learn that the biggest thing that you can do at this point in your life is figure out how to get to that point where you can go all in, right? Because Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, who else am I thinking? Who's the guy that did Amazon? What's his name?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. These guys all have one thing in common. Mm-hmm. Okay. Probably one thing that made them the most successful and probably separates them from every other human being. And you know what that is? And I'm not telling you it's healthy, by the way.
Yeah, but what is it?
They went all in. And when I say all in, I mean slept in the basement, slept in the office, eat, slept, breathed, did all of that stuff. What's the difference? The difference is if you can go all in for that short period of time, maybe you don't have to work as long. I don't know. I'm coming up with, these are all hypotheses. I don't know. I'm not scientifically researched these things. I don't know for sure. And I'm not telling you that you should do that because guess what? I'm not sleeping in a garage and eating out of bean cans because I have children. I have a family. And I may have, and that's just a life choice that I've made. Mm-hmm. So I want my cake and eat it too, and I'm going to damn well have it. Like, that's just my mindset, right? But at the end of the day, those are things that I want people to take into account when they're doing any aspect, whether it's a diet, whether it's a workout, any aspect of it. You can make excuses, but when you're in front of the judgment day comes. I call judgment day when I visit my doctor, right?
There you go.
And he says to you, well, how's your diet been? And he pulls up my lab work. He said, well, I guess it's been shit, right? And the reality is judgment day comes to all of us. It really does. And the only person that's going to know if they've gone all in is you.
Yeah.
Is you. And until you've gotten to that point, you can't expect the results you want.
No.
You can't. And our goal as coaches is to figure out how to get you there. It's to figure it out.
Get you there and keep you there. And I'm going to add one thing, which is I can picture examples in my life where I was all in.
Yeah.
And if you would ask me on those days, weeks, months, or whatever, if I was willing to do this for 6 months, I knew the first real job that I had in broadcast ad sales. I literally started with 0, and the television company had 0. And I can remember the actual real-time process was to get from day one to, it was probably 18 months at the most where things rolled. I don't think it was 18 months, but I'll just say, for example's sake, it was 18 months, right? If you would ask me on those days, and I was going all in, I know I was going all in and threw everything I had into it. If you would ask me in the early days, well, you're going to go 18 months to do this, do you have it in you? I'd probably say no. So I think a big part of it is to shrink down the timeline especially when you don't know. Because the fact is, I was just going for the day. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna, like I said, I am gonna throw myself at this until it's time to go to bed.
But the reason that the reason I bring it all up and the reason I put that quote out is because it's a three, you have to do an entire cleanse, right? And the cleanse starts with your mind. It starts with your mind. If you aren't of the, and to me, there's two ways to go all in. You have to have confidence and you have to remove the fear, right? Confidence and fear. If you do those two things, because you think back to when you were all in, right? You had the confidence and you didn't have the fear, right? So to get to that point, you have to do two things: boost your confidence and remove the fear. And how do you do those things? You remove fears by putting in fail safes, by putting in some measures of, backup or insurances, especially at this age where you're like, all right, if I jump, I'll still be okay, right? Like that kind of thing. But at the confidence level, you have to look at it and say, you know what? I might be a little older. I may be a little less resilient. I may be a little fatter, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You still got the balls to do it.
Absolutely.
You still got the balls to do it. And you know what? Maybe more than ever, maybe you even have bigger balls because you've been through more and you have the courage. But the reason and the reason I have our job, John, is to remind people that's there.
You've done
and to walk through it. All right, let's talk about this. What are the things that are keeping you from being all in? Well, this, and this. So address them all. Create a solution that says, all right, if this is what's keeping you, how do we fix this? If this is what's keeping you, how do you fix that? And then what are the things that are making you be all in, right? So how do we increase those? You can't see me in my virtual. How do you increase and you decrease those, right? And that's really what it comes down to. It really is. And part of that confidence is the positive mindset. And that's what I meant by my quote. You have to be open to the possibility of opportunity. Today could be your day. The moment could be the moment. You have no idea.
And the key, and you could very well be right. And just for that alone, just that sense of it could be is the reason you keep going. I like I said, I think about early on for me, 4 years ago when I launched this, early on, 30 years ago when I launched my broadcast sale, both of those windows. And today, at just after 10:30, they're all the same in the sense of I didn't know what the conclusion was going to be. But there was that sense of freedom of going all in.
Yeah.
And when you feel that sense of the mindset part that you talk about, when you feel that sense of freedom or permission or whatever it is that enables you to go, it's rare that you do that. And then you're like, okay, that was a stupid thing I did. What I regret is more the sense of, okay, I hate the fact that I wasted half a day. I hate the fact that, blah, blah, blah. But it's never the fact that I threw myself into something. Never. I always feel better. And then you take the feeling better part of that just one day and build into a second day.
Yeah. And that's why they always say, John, it's small wins. It's small wins. You have to take the small wins to get to the big strides. You really do. And a large victory is really a collection of many small victories.
It never hasn't been. I like I said, I can visualize.
And that's the thing. And John, let's call a spade, right? What basically people are trying to do is they're trying to play the lottery and hit it. The problem is that's not how real life works.
Correct.
That's not how real life works. It just isn't. And until you get into that mind, until you're ready to go all in,
right,
you're not going to get where you want to be.
No, you won't. You can't. You might, like with lottery wins, maybe you'll hit, but But then go back to the same analogy. Chances are you won't. In fact, chances are really good you won't. Yep. So, if you're going to have the mindset of maybe it's today, as you said, it's like stack the deck a little bit. That's all we're saying. Stack the deck. The fear that we talk about, try to just have that dissipate. Give yourself the permission to let go, even if it's for a day or week, whatever. Hey, this week, I'm doing X, whatever it is. We all have responsibilities. Things change. Me commuting back and forth to Atlantic City 30 years ago, I don't know that I would do that again. I did, you know what I mean? And careening down the Atlantic City Expressway at 5:30 in the morning to get to a desk, you know what I mean, a job by 8 a.m. But what that got me was, and I said 18 months, that was the Philadelphia job. The timeline for the Atlantic City thing, and I left before it fully optimized, but that timeline was, oh my God, 4 months at the most. I was moving upwards. 4 months at the most, I was pricing apartments at the shore. And so it's like, it doesn't have to be that long, but the key is to give yourself that permission. Go all in. Hey, folks, even for this, if it's simply today, take the mindset that we have instilled, shared, communicated, and use it simply for today. Say, look, want to make up a number, 5 o'clock. I can let go. But between now and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I don't know, whatever time it happens to be, make it work for you. But it's like, I'll just throw myself in. You know what you need to do. I know what I need to do. I don't need more content. I don't need more instructional tutorials. It is the mindset allowing myself to give myself the permission. Jesus, I'm just going all out today.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, man. And it all comes in the full circle, right? And it all comes, in my opinion, if you're going to make investments in certain things, right, and you want them to perform, you're going to have to make them excuse me, my microwave is going off here.
I was going to say that I could hear it. And I'm looking at my my computer, and that's Chad and mine, and that's ready to go off. So,
but my whole point in saying all this is that I think that and again, everyone has different views on mindset and mental health and what they spend money on. But if you're in a position where you need to go next level, or you need to redefine yourself, or you need to pivot, right? And you're like, oh, I would never get a coach. Those guys are hokey pokey. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. That's awesome. But here's the deal. If you can't pull yourself out of it, it's worth every freaking penny.
Exactly.
It's worth every freaking penny. And I'm telling you, someone's got it. And you want to know the truth? The life change and the results and every aspect of measuring the impact will pay for itself 10, 20, 30 fold over. And that's not me selling me. And that's not even me selling you. That's me selling the profession as a whole. Right?
Yeah. And the
result. Think that, and the result. So
folks, it's simply a matter of, like I said, first off, if you can get yourself in this mindset, if you can be the examples used, the Jeff Bezos, you know what I mean? If you could be that, then go do it. It's not a challenge. It's not there. But then go do it and get yourself out of the mindset that I can't, or I would if this. And if you're unable to pull yourself out, which most people are unable to pull themselves out, this is why you talk to coaches. This is why you talk to Chad Levine. This is why you talk to me or your coach of choice. But find somebody that's got the best interests at heart, that has the experience, that has actually done this, and even better, multiple times has done this. And then it's okay, what's the methodology? What could be the specificity to get you out of this situation? So, that puff quote that we're like talking about before, throw all the canvas, throw all the paint all over the canvas. Today may be your day. Folks, it gets there when you've got the blueprint. And that's, like I said, why, and hopefully that's what you got out of today's show. You know what I mean? And that's the part. If you got that, then you know what I mean? Then we did our job. I'm good, dude. I feel good about what we did. Folks, I am thrilled that we get the chance to keep doing this. There's your practical tip for the day. Chad Levine, thank you, buddy. You always put me in a better place, and you put all of us in a better place. So thanks for all this. And folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Your Monday Motivation, where we get to, what do we get to do, Chad? Give you your weekly kick in the arse. Boom. Be well, folks. Have a fan.